Liam wasn't prepared for this. He had always been a practical man, focused on the technical side of things. As a mechanic and technician aboard a deep space exploration vessel, his days consisted of checking equipment, fixing problems, and ensuring that everything ran smoothly. Space travel wasn't an easy job, and it was filled with routine. He enjoyed it. The peace, the quiet, the certainty. But today, everything changed. A sudden, jarring impact shook the ship, sending Liam crashing into the controls. Alarms blared, flashing red lights filled the cabin, and the ship began to lose power. For a moment, he thought they were going to crash. Control systems are offline. His crew member shouted through the comms, "We're losing altitude fast." Liam didn't have time to think. He grabbed the nearest emergency controls, attempting to regain control. But the ship was spiraling downwards, uncontrollably. He pulled the emergency parachutes, hoping it would slow them down enough for a soft landing. The ship crashed into the uncharted planet below with a bone-rattling thud. When Liam regained consciousness, everything was dark. For a moment, he lay still, his head spinning, unsure of what had happened. The ship was completely down, and the air was thick with smoke and dust. His breath came in shallow gasps as he crawled toward the emergency hatch. He wasn't sure what to expect when he opened it, but it certainly wasn't the sight of a towering alien standing over him. The figure was a woman. No, not just a woman. An alien princess. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, her features delicate yet fierce, and her long silver hair shimmered under the dim light. She wore a sleek, form-fitting outfit made from strange, metallic material that shimmered, almost glowing with its own light. Liam's eyes widened. Who are you?" The alien woman didn't respond right away. Instead, she stared at him with eyes as sharp as daggers, her gaze intense, as if she were studying him. Then, with a sudden, fluid motion, she reached out and yanked him to his feet. "You're not supposed to be here," she said, her voice low and commanding. There was an authority in her tone that left no room for argument. Liam, still dazed, tried to steady himself, his hands shaking slightly. "I'm just a technician. My ship crashed. We didn't mean to land here. I don't even know where I am." The princess studied him closely, her sharp gaze softening for just a moment. "A human. You crash here, and you expect to survive." Liam blinked in confusion. "What do you mean? I don't even know where here is." The alien princess seemed unfazed by his confusion. "This is my planet. You are trespassing." Before Liam could explain himself, a loud roar echoed across the landscape. The princess immediately tensed, her eyes narrowing. "Get inside, now," she ordered, taking his arm and pulling him toward the shelter nearby. She moved with surprising speed, and before Liam could protest, he was inside a small structure, the door slamming shut behind him. Inside, the air was cool, and the walls were made of smooth metallic surfaces that hummed faintly. Liam's heart raced. He was on an alien world, with no idea how he got here or how he was going to get back. "Who are you?" Liam finally asked, his voice more curious than fearful now that he was inside safety. The princess turned to him, her piercing eyes locking with his. "I am Aurelia, princess of this world," she replied, her voice filled with quiet authority. "And you, human, are not welcome here." Liam frowned. "I didn't mean to crash here. I'm just trying to survive. Can you help me?" For a long moment, Aurelia said nothing, her eyes scanning him as if trying to decide what to do with him. Then, unexpectedly, she stepped closer, her presence overwhelming. "I will help you," she said finally, but her tone was sharp, like a blade hidden beneath layers of silk. "But you owe me something for your mistake. A life saved must be repaid." Liam's heart skipped a beat. "Repaid? Yes," she said simply, "and I will make sure you keep your word. You will follow me." The air between them crackled with tension. Liam's mind raced, but before he could speak, Aurelia's gaze grew even more intense. "You will come with me to my kingdom. You will stay with me, and you will help me in ways you cannot yet understand." Liam wasn't sure what to say. He hadn't signed up for any of this. But as Aurelia stood before him, her resolve clear, he realized he had little choice. Her command was absolute, and there was no way to back out. With a sigh, he nodded. "All right, I'll help you, but I don't know how." Aurelia smiled, a slow, knowing smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We'll see," she said. "We'll see." And with that, the human's life took a turn he could never have predicted. A princess had entered his world, and she wasn't about to let him rest. Liam's mind buzzed with confusion as he followed Aurelia through the strange corridors of her palace. The building was nothing like anything he had ever seen. The walls were smooth, almost liquid in their shine, with a faint hum of energy running through them. Every step he took echoed in the vast, silent space, making him feel small and out of place. But Aurelia moved with ease, her presence commanding, and Liam had no choice but to keep up. She didn't speak as they walked, and Liam didn't dare ask more questions. The princess had made it clear that she would help him, but it came with a price. What exactly that price was, though, he had no idea. They reached a large open chamber, lit by what appeared to be glowing crystals embedded in the walls. The room was stunning, with enormous windows that overlooked a vast, alien landscape. The sky was a strange shade of violet, dotted with swirling clouds and two moons hanging low in the sky. The beauty of the view struck Liam like a punch in the stomach, and for a moment, he forgot everything else. Aurelia's voice brought him back to reality. "Sit," she ordered, gesturing toward a large chair made of some unknown material. It looked like stone but felt soft and warm to the touch when Liam sat down. He looked at her, waiting for her to continue. The princess paced in front of him, her silver hair trailing behind her like a waterfall. She was thinking, he could tell, but he didn't want to interrupt her. "You owe me a debt, human," Aurelia said finally, stopping in front of him. Her voice was soft, but it carried an edge of authority. "You saved my life, and now you will stay here. You will help me." Liam opened his mouth to protest, but Aurelia held up a hand, silencing him. "I don't want your excuses. I want your help." Liam frowned. "Help with what? You've got a whole kingdom here. You don't need me." Aurelia's eyes flashed with something fierce. "I need you more than you think. You are not here by accident. You are part of something far bigger than yourself, and you will not leave until you've fulfilled your role." The princess didn't seem to be joking. Liam wasn't sure if she was completely serious or if she was just playing some kind of game, but there was something about the way she spoke that made him believe she meant every word. "You've got to be kidding," he muttered. "I'm just a technician. I fix things, not rule planets." Aurelia's gaze softened slightly, but her voice remained firm. "It's not about ruling. It's about survival. My people are in danger, and you have a part to play in that." Liam felt a knot form in his stomach. He didn't understand what she meant. How could he possibly help in something so serious? He was just a regular guy from Earth, but looking into Aurelia's eyes, he knew she wasn't going to back down. She stepped closer, her presence overwhelming. "You will learn more soon, but for now, you must rest. Tomorrow we begin." Liam didn't feel like resting, but he knew he had no choice. He hadn't slept properly since the crash, and his body was starting to feel the effects of exhaustion. He had no idea what he was getting into, but there was nothing he could do to change it. Aurelia had already made up her mind, and his only choice was to follow. As he lay in a bed that felt like it was made from clouds, the events of the day replayed in his mind. The crash, the encounter with Aurelia, the strange palace, and now this debt that he couldn't escape from. What had he gotten himself into? And why did she need him? There was still so much he didn't understand. But one thing was clear. His life was never going to be the same. The next morning, Aurelia arrived early, as if she had been waiting for him to wake up. She didn't knock. She just entered, her presence filling the room like a storm. "Get up. We start today," she said. Liam groaned and rubbed his eyes. "Do you ever rest?" Aurelia's lips twitched into a small smile, but she didn't answer. Instead, she handed him a strange metallic suit that looked nothing like anything he had ever seen. It was light but strong, and it fit him perfectly, as if it had been designed just for him. "Put it on," she ordered. Liam didn't argue. He was still trying to wrap his mind around the whole situation, but there was no point in resisting. He got dressed quickly and followed Aurelia as she led him out of the room and down yet another hallway. "This is the heart of my kingdom," Aurelia explained as they walked. "The technology here is more advanced than anything you've seen on your world, but it is also unstable. My enemies have been trying to exploit that, and they've almost succeeded." Liam listened intently, trying to understand. "Your enemies? Who are they?" Aurelia's expression darkened. "Those who would see me fail. They seek to control my people, my land, and they believe I am weak because of my human connections." Liam couldn't help but feel sympathy for her. She had so much responsibility on her shoulders, and yet here he was, a stranger in her world, expected to help her in ways he didn't understand. But he also knew there was no turning back now. Aurelia had given him no choice. They arrived at a large chamber, filled with strange machinery that hummed with energy. Aurelia turned to him, her eyes serious. "Today, you will help me activate this. You will help me save my kingdom." Liam wasn't sure what to expect, but as he looked at the device, he realized something. His life had just taken a turn he couldn't undo. And now, it seemed, he was going to help this alien princess save her world. Liam felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders as he followed Aurelia deeper into the heart of her kingdom. The corridors were silent, the soft hum of energy filling the air like a distant, constant rhythm. The walls around them shimmered, smooth and flawless, with no hint of age or wear. Everything about this place felt alive, like it was part of a living organism, and the people who walked through it were just another part of its pulse. As they moved, Liam couldn't help but glance out the large windows that lined the corridor. The view was breathtaking. The sky was a brilliant shade of violet, dotted with two moons that hung low in the sky, casting soft shadows over the land below. The planet's surface stretched far and wide, dotted with cities and sprawling forests that seemed to stretch forever. It was unlike anything Liam had ever seen, a strange yet beautiful world that made him feel like a visitor from a distant time. "You're quiet today, human," Aurelia said, breaking the silence. Liam didn't know how to respond. He was overwhelmed by everything. The crash, the strange palace, and now this mission she had dragged him into. But the silence that hung between them wasn't uncomfortable. He was learning to appreciate the calmness that Aurelia seemed to embody, even if she had a fierce side. "Just taking it all in," he replied finally, glancing at her. "This place, it's incredible." Aurelia's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "It is, isn't it?" Her tone softened for just a moment. "But it's also fragile, and I need to protect it." Liam didn't fully understand what she meant, but he could hear the weight of responsibility in her voice. She wasn't just a princess. She was a leader, carrying the burden of an entire kingdom on her shoulders. They continued walking until they reached a large, circular chamber. Inside, the floor was covered with intricate designs, and in the center stood a towering structure, pulsing with soft light. It looked like a machine, but unlike anything Liam had ever seen. The entire thing seemed to hum with energy, and he could feel the vibration in the air as they approached. "This," Aurelia said, her voice steady, "is the core of my kingdom's power. It provides the energy we need to survive and thrive. Without it, everything would fall apart." Liam stepped closer, his curiosity growing. "It looks ancient," he said, "but also so advanced." Aurelia nodded. It is both. This technology is older than my people, passed down from generations of rulers. It's what has kept our kingdom strong for centuries. Liam's brow furrowed as he looked at the machine. So, why does it need me? Aurelia's expression grew serious. Because, human, it has begun to fail. The energy it produces is unstable, and my enemies are trying to take control of it. If they succeed, everything I've worked for will be lost. Liam felt a pit form in his stomach. And you think I can help fix it? Aurelia's eyes met his, a flicker of something unreadable in her gaze. Yes, you are the key. Liam took a step back, unsure of what to make of her words. I'm just a technician. I don't know anything about alien power systems, or whatever this thing is. You have something that we need, she said, her voice unwavering. Your human mind is different. The technology here was built with many species in mind, but only your kind can interface with it in the way that's needed. I've studied the records. It's you, Liam. You are the missing piece. He stared at the machine, a feeling of dread creeping over him. He had no idea what Aurelia was talking about. Was it just because he was human? Was there something special about him? Or was she just using him as a tool to save her kingdom? I don't know if I can do this, he admitted, his voice low. Aurelia stepped closer to him, her gaze softening. You don't have to know everything. You just need to trust that you can. Her words, so simple yet powerful, left Liam with little choice. What else could he do? He was far from home, stranded on an alien planet, with no way of returning to Earth. Aurelia was right. She had saved his life, and now he owed her. But this wasn't just about owing a debt anymore. This was about survival, not just for him, but for an entire world. I'll help, Liam said finally, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that gripped him. Aurelia gave him a small, approving nod. Good. Let's begin. She guided him toward the center of the room, where a set of glowing alien symbols were etched into the floor. The markings seemed to shift and change as they approached, responding to their presence in a way that was both mesmerizing and unnerving. Liam knelt down, his hands trembling as he reached out toward the symbols. The moment his fingers touched the floor, a surge of energy shot through him, and he gasped in surprise. The room seemed to come alive, the air crackling with power. The symbols flared to life, glowing brightly beneath his touch. This is it, Aurelia said, her voice almost a whisper. You're connecting with it. This is how it works. Liam's mind raced as he focused on the symbols beneath his fingers. The energy was overwhelming, almost as if the machine was trying to communicate with him, reaching out through the strange symbols. He could feel something, an intelligence, a presence, guiding him, pulling him deeper into its core. What's happening? He asked, his voice shaky. You're accessing the core's power, Aurelia explained. It's recognizing you. You are a part of it now. Just keep focusing. Don't let go. Liam wasn't sure how much longer he could hold on, but he didn't want to stop. He couldn't. Not now. The symbols shifted again, this time faster, their glow growing brighter. And for the first time since the crash, Liam felt like he might just be able to do something to help. Maybe he wasn't as powerless as he had thought. Liam's head was spinning. The energy from the machine surged through his body, leaving him with a strange mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had never experienced anything like it before. The alien symbols on the floor still glowed beneath his fingertips, and the hum of power filled the room, echoing in his chest. Are you all right? Aurelia's voice cut through the buzzing in his ears. Liam nodded slowly, his body still trembling from the intense energy he had just connected with. I think so. That was something else. Aurelia stepped closer, her eyes scanning him carefully, as if measuring his every reaction. The power responds to you. That's a good sign. It means you're the one who can help us. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man who had just stepped into a world he didn't understand. A world that was asking him to do things he wasn't sure he could do. But there was something about Aurelia. The way she carried herself, the way she spoke, that made him believe she was telling the truth. She needed him, and in some strange way, he felt like he couldn't let her down. "I don't know if I'm the one you need," Liam admitted, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. "I'm just a technician. I don't know how to save a whole kingdom." Aurelia's gaze softened, and she took a step toward him. "You don't have to be a hero to help. You just have to do what you can." Her words were simple, but they struck Liam in a way he didn't expect. She wasn't asking for him to perform miracles. She was just asking for him to do his best. He wasn't sure if that was enough, but it was all he had. Aurelia reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've already done more than I expected. The Corps recognizes you, and that means you're vital to our survival." Liam looked up at her, trying to make sense of everything. "But how does it work? What exactly am I supposed to do?" Aurelia hesitated for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. "The Corps has a power, a force that can protect us, but it's unstable. It requires a balance that we've lost. The key to restoring that balance lies in you. Your human essence is what the Corps needs to regain its strength. But it's not just about fixing the machine. It's about understanding the connection between our worlds. And that's where you come in." Liam blinked, his mind racing. "You're saying the Corps needs something from me?" "Yes," she said softly. "Your energy, your presence. It's something we've never been able to fully explain. But I believe it's the only way." Liam looked at the glowing machine again, still uncertain. "So, I'm the missing piece." Aurelia nodded. "Yes, and in a way, so much more." The silence that followed was thick with unspoken thoughts. Liam could see the weight on Aurelia's shoulders, the burden of responsibility she carried. He wasn't sure how he fit into all of this, but one thing was clear. Aurelia wasn't just a princess. She was someone who needed help, someone who had already risked a lot for him. She had saved his life, and now he was expected to return the favor. "I don't know how much I can give," Liam said quietly, his voice laced with doubt. "But I'll try. I won't turn my back on you." Aurelia's expression softened even further. "That's all I ask, Liam. You don't have to do everything by yourself. We'll figure it out together." Liam felt a strange warmth spread through him at her words. She wasn't asking him to be perfect. She was asking him to stand by her side. And for the first time since the crash, Liam felt like maybe, just maybe, he could do something worthwhile here. As they stood there, the tension in the room seemed to lift just a little. There was something else, something unspoken, that passed between them in that moment. Liam couldn't explain it, but he sensed that their bond was growing. Something stronger than mere obligation. It was trust. But as they stood there in silence, Aurelia's face suddenly became serious again. "There's one more thing," she said, her voice low. "My enemies know that the Corps is unstable, and they will stop at nothing to take control of it. We cannot afford to wait. If we don't act soon, it may be too late." Liam straightened, his sense of duty kicking in. "What do you need me to do?" "We need to reactivate the Corps' stabilizing systems," Aurelia said, her voice steady but urgent. "Only someone with your connection can do it. I'll guide you, but we must hurry." Liam nodded, a sense of determination flooding his chest. "Let's do it." Aurelia led him back to the machine, the hum of energy growing louder as they approached. This time, Liam wasn't afraid. He understood the importance of what they were doing. He might not know how to fix everything, but he was ready to try. As they stood before the Corps once more, Aurelia's eyes locked with his. "You can do this," she said, her voice filled with quiet conviction. Liam took a deep breath. "I'll do my best." And as his fingers once again touched the alien symbols, he felt the connection to the Corps surge through him once more, this time with a clearer sense of purpose. This wasn't just about saving the machine. It was about saving her world. And for the first time since the crash, Liam believed he had the power to make a difference. Liam stood before the Corps, his hands resting lightly on the strange, glowing symbols beneath him. The room around him hummed with energy, the soft vibrations of power radiating through the air like a heartbeat. Every time he touched the symbols, he could feel the pulse of the machine, its life force intertwined with his own. But something was different today. Aurelia stood beside him, watching intently as he worked, her eyes never leaving his hands. There was a quiet tension in the air, as if they were on the edge of something important, something that could change everything. But Liam could feel the weight of the moment. He wasn't just helping her fix a machine anymore. He was playing a part in the survival of an entire world. The symbols on the floor flickered once more as Liam's fingers brushed against them, sending a wave of energy through the room. His heart raced. The connection was stronger this time, as if the core had recognized him in a new way, one that he couldn't yet explain. "Is it working?" Aurelia asked, her voice sharp but hopeful. Liam nodded slowly, trying to focus. "It feels different. The energy is stronger, more stable." Aurelia's gaze softened, and she stepped closer to him, her presence both comforting and commanding. "You're doing well. But there's something you need to understand, Liam. Something I haven't told you." Liam glanced up at her, his curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" Aurelia hesitated, her fingers brushing against the edge of the machine. Her eyes far away as if recalling something from the past. "When I first found you, I knew you were important. I didn't know how, but I knew. The core, it's not just a machine. It's a living entity, a force that's been with my people for centuries. It responds to certain energies, energies that are unique to your kind." Liam frowned, still trying to grasp what she was saying. "You're saying this core thing needs humans?" Aurelia nodded slowly. "Yes, your species. You've always had a connection to energy in a way that others do not. It's why I sought you out, why I knew you were the key to stabilizing the core." Liam took a step back, absorbing her words. "But why me? I'm just a mechanic. I don't understand this stuff." Aurelia looked at him, her eyes filled with a mix of respect and something deeper, something that Liam couldn't quite place. "It's not just about what you can do. It's about who you are. You are the first human to be brought here, to this world. The core has been waiting for someone like you." Liam's mind was reeling. He had never believed in fate, and he certainly didn't think of himself as special. But as he stood there, surrounded by the alien technology, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed, something deep inside him. Aurelia stepped back, her expression turning more serious. "There's something else you should know. The core is not only the key to saving my kingdom, it's also the key to protecting it from destruction. I have enemies, Liam. Powerful enemies who want to control the core's energy for themselves." Liam's stomach tightened. "Enemies? What do they want with the core?" Aurelia's voice dropped to a whisper. "They want to use it to take over my kingdom, to control everything. If they succeed, everything I've fought for, everything my people have worked for, will be destroyed." Liam looked at her, a new understanding dawning in his mind. This wasn't just about fixing a machine. This was about stopping a threat, one that could bring ruin to an entire world. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Liam asked, his voice filled with frustration. Aurelia met his gaze without flinching. "Because I couldn't risk it. I couldn't risk you becoming a target before you were ready. You needed time to connect with the core, to understand your role in this. I needed to know that you could do it." Liam ran a hand through his hair, feeling a mix of anger and confusion. "So, I've been helping you because I'm the only one who can fix this, and now I'm supposed to fight your enemies." Aurelia's eyes softened, and she stepped closer to him, placing a hand on his arm. "I never wanted you to fight, Liam. I never wanted you to be part of this. But the truth is, you're already in this. We both are." Liam met her gaze, his heart pounding in his chest. The weight of her words hung in the air like a heavy fog, and he realized that she wasn't asking for him to save the day. She was asking for his help, because she couldn't do it alone. "Tell me what to do," he said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling inside him. "I'll help you." Aurelia's face softened, a small but grateful smile tugging at her lips. "We need to secure the core, to make sure it's safe from my enemies. If we don't act fast, they will try to take it. They've already made their move, and they won't stop until they have it." Liam nodded, understanding the urgency. "Where do we start?" "Follow me," Aurelia said, her tone resolute. "We're going to prepare for what comes next." As they left the chamber, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that everything had changed. What had started as a simple crash landing had turned into something far more complex, and now he wasn't just a mechanic trying to fix a machine. He was part of a struggle for an entire world's survival. Aurelia's kingdom, her people, their future, it all rested on his shoulders now. And as they walked down the hallway, Liam felt a strange sense of determination rise within him. He didn't know how or why he was chosen, but he would do whatever it took to help her. He had no choice. He had already become part of this world, and in a way, it had become part of him. The air in the palace felt heavier now. As Liam followed Aurelia through the winding corridors, his heart raced with every step. He could sense the urgency in her movements, the tension in the way she carried herself. Whatever they were about to face, it was big, bigger than anything he had ever experienced. Aurelia was no longer the calm, collected princess he had met when he first crashed on this planet. She was a leader in the middle of a battle, and Liam was beginning to realize just how much was at stake. "Where are we going?" Liam asked, his voice breaking the silence between them. "We need to secure the core," Aurelia replied, her voice low but filled with purpose. "If my enemies have already made their move, they'll try to take control of it. We can't let that happen." Liam nodded, trying to steady his nerves. He wasn't a soldier, wasn't trained for any kind of battle. But what choice did he have? Aurelia needed him, and he had already committed to helping her. The stakes had never been clearer. They arrived at a large chamber at the center of the palace. The room was unlike anything Liam had seen so far. It was vast, its ceiling stretching high above them, with tall, glowing pillars that seemed to pulse with energy. In the center of the room stood a control panel, surrounded by a series of intricate alien machines. The core was housed here, protected by layers of technology that made it look like the heart of the entire kingdom. Aurelia moved quickly toward the control panel, her eyes focused. "We need to activate the core's defense mechanisms," she said. "Only then can we ensure it's protected from their attempts to override it." Liam followed her, his eyes scanning the room. Everything seemed so advanced, yet at the same time, it felt so fragile. One wrong move, and it could all come crashing down. "Do you have any idea how to use this?" Liam asked, glancing at the complex panel in front of him. Aurelia turned to face him, her eyes steady. "I've been trained for this. I can guide you." She placed her hands on the panel, and the machine immediately began to respond, lights flashing as the alien symbols on the screen came to life. Liam watched closely, trying to understand what was happening, but the technology was far beyond anything he had ever seen. It was like trying to decode a language he didn't speak. "Okay, now what?" Liam asked. Aurelia's face tightened. "Now, we wait. The defense system will take a moment to calibrate. It's preparing to activate." Liam stepped back, unsure of what else to do. He was used to fixing things, not waiting for them to work. But as the seconds ticked by, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Suddenly, the entire room seemed to shudder. The ground beneath them vibrated, and the once calm atmosphere was now filled with tension. Aurelia's face turned pale, her eyes flashing with fear. "They're here," she whispered. Liam's heart skipped a beat. He had a feeling this was the moment they had been preparing for, but he wasn't ready. He hadn't expected the danger to feel so real, so immediate. Before he could react, the doors to the chamber slammed open, and a group of armed soldiers stormed in, their weapons raised. They were wearing dark, metallic armor that reflected the light of the room, and their eyes were cold with intent. Aurelia immediately stepped in front of Liam, her posture defensive. "You're too late," Aurelia said, her voice calm but filled with authority. "You won't take the core." One of the soldiers stepped forward, a smirk on his face. "You're wrong, Princess. We've been planning this for years. Your time is up." Liam stood frozen, his mind racing. He wasn't a fighter, wasn't trained to handle something like this. But seeing the soldiers approach, he realized that if they didn't act fast, everything they had worked for would be lost. Aurelia glanced over her shoulder at Liam, her eyes pleading for him to do something. He wasn't sure what he could do, but he knew one thing. He couldn't let her down now. Without thinking, Liam rushed toward the control panel, hoping the system was still active. He pressed his hand against the glowing symbols, trying to reconnect with the energy he had felt before. The core responded immediately, the light around them intensifying. The soldiers hesitated, confused by the sudden surge of energy. Aurelia's voice rang out, strong and commanding. "Activate the defense systems now." Liam's heart pounded as he focused on the panel. The symbols beneath his hands seemed to shift and change, responding to his touch, as if the core was recognizing him again. The air around them crackled with power. With a sudden roar of energy, the core activated, sending out a shockwave of light that knocked the soldiers back. They stumbled, disoriented by the blast. Aurelia didn't waste any time. She grabbed Liam's arm and pulled him away from the panel. "We need to leave now," she shouted. Liam barely had time to react. Aurelia's strength was surprising as she led him through the chamber, the soldiers now scrambling to regain their footing. But the defense system had already done its job. The core was protected, its power surging around them like an invisible barrier. As they reached the door, Liam glanced back at the room. The core was pulsing with energy, its light now steady and strong. It had been protected, at least for now. But the fight wasn't over. "Is it safe?" Liam asked, his breath coming in short bursts as they moved down the hallway. "For now," Aurelia replied, her voice tight. "But we still have a long way to go." Liam didn't know what to expect next. He had never imagined that a simple crash landing could lead to something like this. But one thing was clear. He was no longer just a visitor on an alien planet. He was part of something much bigger, and the stakes had never been higher. Aurelia's kingdom was in danger, and now he was in this fight with her, whether he was ready or not. The echo of hurried footsteps filled the corridor as Aurelia pulled Liam along, her pace unrelenting. The palace, once a place of quiet beauty, now felt like a battleground. The hum of the energy from the core still vibrated in the air, but beneath it was a new tension, one that wrapped itself around Liam's chest, making it hard to breathe. He wasn't sure what he had expected when he first landed here. Maybe a peaceful recovery, or at least some time to figure out how to fix the ship. But instead, he had found himself pulled into a battle, one that he never asked for. And now, as he ran beside Aurelia, the weight of his decision to help her pressed down harder than ever. "We need to reach the control room," Aurelia said, her voice steady but urgent. "It's the safest place in the palace. If we can hold there, we'll have time to plan our next move." Liam nodded, trying to keep up with her swift pace. He had never been one for physical confrontation, and though he wasn't scared of Aurelia's enemies, he felt a new sense of responsibility. This was no longer just about fixing a machine. It was about saving a kingdom. As they turned a corner, they reached a large reinforced door. Aurelia entered a quick code into the panel beside it, and the door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a small but high-tech room, its walls lined with screens showing various parts of the palace. It was clear that this was where Aurelia had been monitoring the situation. She stepped toward one of the screens, her eyes scanning the data on the monitor. Liam followed her, watching as she processed the information. He had never seen someone so focused, so determined. "They're regrouping," Aurelia muttered, her eyes flickering over the screen. "They'll attack again soon." Liam's heart sank. And we're just supposed to wait here? No, she replied, turning to face him. We're going to prepare for them. There was a quiet intensity in her voice, one that Liam couldn't ignore. He had seen it before, back when they had first met. This was the same fierce determination that had gotten her through countless challenges. He might not understand everything, but he knew one thing. Aurelia wasn't going to give up without a fight. Tell me what to do, Liam said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. I'll help however I can. Aurelia studied him for a long moment, her gaze softening just slightly. You've already done so much, she said quietly. But now we need to act. The core is our first line of defense. If they get to it again, we'll lose everything. Liam nodded. He didn't need to be told twice. He had seen the power of the core, felt the energy that flowed through him when he connected with it. He understood its importance now, more than ever. As Aurelia continued to assess the situation, Liam couldn't help but think back to all the moments that had brought him here. The crash, the first meeting with Aurelia, the strange connection with the core. It all felt like a whirlwind that had swept him off course. But now, standing in this high-tech room, he realized that there was no turning back. His life was no longer just his own. We don't have much time, Aurelia said, snapping him out of his thoughts. We need to activate the palace's defense systems. We can't let them get close to the core. Liam looked around at the complex technology surrounding him. Do you know how to work all of this? I do, she replied, walking over to a nearby console. But I'll need your help to input the final command. Liam's heart raced as he joined her at the console. The screens flickered to life, showing live feeds from around the palace. Aurelia quickly typed a series of commands into the system, her fingers moving swiftly over the keys. The complex alien language flashed on the screen, but Liam wasn't sure what it meant. Just follow my lead, Aurelia said, her voice calm but urgent. We'll need to synchronize the palace's defenses with the core. Liam watched as she typed in another sequence of symbols, and then gestured for him to do the same. His fingers hesitated on the keys, unsure of what would happen if he made a mistake. But he trusted Aurelia. She had been right about everything so far. He pressed the keys, repeating the sequence she had given him. The screen flashed, and a loud hum echoed through the room. Liam felt the vibration under his feet as the system powered up. It's working, Aurelia said, her voice filled with relief. Now we just have to keep them out. Suddenly, the door to the room slammed open, and several soldiers rushed in. But this time, they weren't prepared for what awaited them. The moment they crossed the threshold, the palace's defense systems activated. Energy barriers shot up, surrounding them with a force field that locked them in place. The soldiers froze, their weapons raised in surprise, unable to breach the barriers that had encased them. They tried to move, but it was useless. Aurelia and Liam watched as the soldiers struggled, their efforts futile. You won't get away with this, princess, one of the soldiers shouted, but Aurelia didn't flinch. She simply watched, her expression unreadable. Liam couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction as the soldiers were contained. They had done it. They had protected the core, at least for now. Aurelia turned to him, a small but grateful smile on her face. We've won this round, but the war isn't over. Liam nodded, his heart still racing. I'll be ready. Aurelia's gaze softened, and for the first time since they met, she seemed to relax, just a little. Thank you, Liam. I couldn't have done this without you. Liam looked at her, his thoughts swirling. He had never expected to be here, to be part of something so big, so important. But now, standing beside Aurelia, he realized that he had found a new purpose, one that he could never have imagined back on Earth. Aurelia was more than just a princess to him now. She was a partner, someone who had trusted him and who needed him to stand by her side. And for the first time, Liam realized that he wasn't just helping to save a kingdom. He was building something new, something he never expected to find in the middle of space.